What if I told you you could create more time? So I'm talking more time in the day, to get in that workout or schedule a weekend away for some fun or for more time doing a hobby that you enjoy, whatever it may be that you've been wanting to do. And what if you could build a business you love and still be present for your partner and your kids and the life that you worked so hard for? What if creating more time and more freedom and more meaningful experiences wasn't something that you had to wait for, but something you can start designing right now? Well, you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Courtney Downes with Prescription of Travel MD, back again to give you what you need to help get you to your next destination time. Today, I'm joined by someone who is living proof that it's possible. Dr. Una, she is a pediatrician, entrepreneur, fellow podcaster who has been featured by Forbes, The Today Show, Business Insider, to name a few. She's the visionary behind the EntreMD Business School, which helps doctors build the businesses and, even more importantly, the lives of their dreams and on their own terms. So as someone who's working a full-time job and running a small business, trying to manage a household, I know that it can be very time consuming. And we often get to do what we want to do, the fun stuff with what's left of that time. And so what I love about having her here with us is that she shows us how to make time, how to be more effective and impactful, and how the fun stuff is just as, if not more important than the dollars you bring in when you're truly aiming to live a rich life. And this is applicable to anyone. So it's not just doctors or business owners, anyone who values their time and wants to live better. So in our conversation, she opens up about her transition from traditional medicine to really just building this life filled with freedom and intention and walking in purpose. And we talk about her secret sauce to making it all work, teaching her children about wealth and responsibility and how experiences really do help to create the richest life. This episode is your invitation to stop postponing your dreams and start taking practical steps towards a life that really feels aligned and fulfilled. So it's not filled with fluff, but actual steps that you can take to make real change. It's the end of the year, guys. I want you to go into 2026 stronger. And if you're still saying, I don't have time, I don't have the money after the show is over, you need to head on over to Facebook or Instagram, wherever you're at, and join my community. Shoot me a message and we can chat because I really want this for you. But I won't keep you waiting because this episode is seriously packed with high yield takeaways. And I honestly believe that if you implement just one, you're going to change your life. Just one. Okay. So let's get into it. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Una. I'm so excited to have you here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. And I'm really excited for the audience to get to know a little bit about you and all the things that you do, and how you help other physicians, within the community be able to run their own businesses and start their own businesses and dream big and still be able to do all the things that, create wealth in your life. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Una. I'm a pediatrician by training. I've been married for almost 20 years at this point, 19 years. I have 4 kids who are homeschooled, and they're 17, 15, 11, and 10. So I've been busy for many years. And I'm a serial entrepreneur at this point. My first business is my private practice. The business that I focus on the most now is EntreMD, and it's all about helping doctors build profitable businesses so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. So in that company, I mean, like we have, podcasts, books, the EntreMD Business School, and literally that's what I spend most of my time doing now. So yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been doing the EntreMD Business School?
The business school we've had for 5.5 years. The EntreMD, the company, we've had for 7. So yeah.
Okay, good deal. And I know there are a lot of physicians, friends that I have who really benefited from your expertise and really just getting started with running their own practices. And I know I binge your podcast all the time, even before I had a small business. And I'm like, man, I do emergency medicine, so there's not really like an avenue for like opening up your own, brick and mortar small practice. But I was always like, I think in the back of my mind, I was like a serial entrepreneur before I even started, and I was like, well, what if I could do these things? And, so it's, very interesting to watch your journey and see the journey that my friends have been taking to get to where they are today. And so,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch physicians, especially now that, it's like stay in your lane, you're a one-trick pony, and, this is the way it's always gonna be. And to watch them go like, well, no, I unsubscribe from that. And then just build an alternate reality is a lot of fun to watch.
yeah. So what does it take to get to that point where you're no longer thinking you're a one trick pony to, I can do all these things and, I'm not just a physician.
I think there are many things, but I think the first step and the biggest step is really immersing yourself in what is not the status quo, right? I think the reason why the physician community is the way it is because we've been almost brainwashed into believing that, right? Like, take care of the patients, we'll take care of everything else. This is all you can do. But when you stop and think about it, it really makes no sense, right? Because before we became physicians, we couldn't do any of the things we do as physicians. And so if we could learn to do all those things, we could learn a whole lot more things, you know what I mean? And so when you're around people who have defied the status quo, when you're around a physician who's you knew as an employed physician, they're running a multi-million-dollar practice, or you're around somebody and they're speaking on some of the biggest stages, and you're like, "I know this person. This person's an introvert," right? And you see them living life on their terms. You see them in their jobs, but negotiating like bosses for the amount they want to earn and the amount of time they want to have off and all of that. When you see it, you can't really unsee it. And then it starts making you ask questions like, okay, how can I do that? Right. And it may not be that, it may be your version of that. Right. Like, because everybody has a different thing that they want. And so I think the starting point is putting yourself in those spaces, which could look like a podcast, like your podcast. We're having this conversation. I have a podcast. We have those conversations on there. It could be books where these stories are told. It could be communities where these doctors are, but I fight to put myself around people who are where I want to be. So that becomes the new normal in my mind. And then I start acting consistently with that, right? Like, so I think that's the starting point. That's why I love sharing doctor stories because I'm like, if you see it, you can't unsee it. So I'm like, how many of these stories can I put in front of you? All kinds of versions of it. So you're going like, okay, I'm not a one trick pony. I'm not stuck. I'm not a victim. There's no woe is me. I can take charge of this and curate my dream business and my dream life. Right. So that's the starting point, really.
Yes. Well, I think I needed you in my life like 5 years ago when I was in that same predicament, and I think being in these communities kind of I mean, you eventually get there, right? So I eventually got there, but being in these communities and being exposed to these things gets you there faster. And, life is short. So the quicker that you can get to, where you wanna be, the better. And I think a lot of physicians, like, we want something more. We want to I mean, you go in, you have this dream, like, "I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna do all these things." And then when you get there, you realize that it wasn't exactly what you had in your head. You still enjoy taking care of patients, you enjoy being that physician, but there are all these other things that come with being a doctor that you weren't expecting and that make it a little trying, and you still wanna be able to live your life, right? You wanna be able to travel, you want to be able to build wealth in ways that go beyond, having a huge bank account. You want that too, but you wanna be able to do more with it because, money it's a tool, right? And we wanna be able to use that to create wealth and riches in our life and be able to travel and to have that freedom, right? I think freedom is a key word for many of us. So,
Yeah, it is the word, and it is what, is what people that's what I teach people to go after. Like, I'm a big believer you can have it all. Now, you're not gonna have it all doing what everybody does, and you're not gonna have it all by working for 2 seconds to say, "Where is all?" Right? But if you have the intent, you can, right? Like, so I talk about the dream business and the dream life because for me, I have no interest in building a business that will require that I sacrifice my life, right? My relationship with my kids, my relationship with my husband, these are all things that are more important than my business. My health, that's more important than my business. So I'm not trying to build a business that will require that I give those things up, right? Like, so you're talking about freedom, and I love that, but we can have it all. But to have it all, we have to play by different rules. We have to get out of the status quo. We have to get over, well, this is the way it's always been done, or this is the way I want to do it. We have to get out of, oh, I don't want to learn a new thing because you're going to learn a new thing, but it's worth it, And I think building businesses are wonderful. The impact you can have on people's lives is just, I mean, it's wild how amazing it is. It can create time freedom for you, create financial freedom for you. But if it costs you your family or it costs you your life or it costs you your health, then it's too expensive. It's the zeros are just not that important. They're very important, don't get me wrong. They're very important, but they're not that important.
yes. And so that brings up a thought for myself. I had a friend who recently approached me and she's starting her own small business. She's starting her own DPC and she's trying to figure out how to navigate that and still be able to take time off because I'm sitting here with things. I'm like, hey, we should go on this vacation. We should plan this retreat. And she's like, Have you ever had a podcast guest who, has been on the show and talked a little bit about how they can, like, manage their time when they're starting a business and they're the only practitioner in the business? And I was like, no, but I think I have someone in mind who might be able to help. So I guess can you sort of speak to that? Like, how do you manage it? How do you find the balance if balance exists? To be able to run your small business, do it successfully as a solo provider, and still find time for your family and for travel and for all the things that matter to you?
Yeah, so that's a brilliant question, especially if someone is asking that at the beginning of their journey. I've had people come to me and they've been in private practice for 10 years and they haven't had a vacation. I'm like, okay, we need to fix this immediately because this is then why are we doing what we do, right? Okay, so I'll tell you how I approached it, right? And to put this in context, again, at this point, run 5 businesses, co-pastor a church with my husband, homeschool 4 kids, all of this stuff. So I have a lot of stuff going on and I still go on vacations, right? I still have time to myself and all of those things. So the starting point is when we build businesses, we want to build businesses with the intent that this business will give me, the time, the impact, the financial freedom, the time freedom, and I will have a life because to start with. So for instance, I will hear people say things like this to their patients, call me anytime. Why would you say that? You don't mean it. If you have 300 patients and they all called you anytime, you wouldn't have any time, right? And so in the beginning, if you're like, I don't want to be available 24/7, then from the beginning, you're not available 24/7. And it's not a realistic thing to expect that somebody will be available 24/7, 7 days a week forever. That's not a thing, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like just from the intent, even your marketing message changes because you're like, I want to build something where I can serve people at the highest level and still live a life, right? So it's the intent. So when I started building my practice, I built it like I want to build something that works without me. So I can work there when I want, but this is my choice. I don't have to do anything, right? So it's the intent. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is that there are certain skills that you're going to need to acquire. The first is the skill of delegation. And sometimes people are like, I want to do everything by myself. Like some people think solo doc means do everything yourself. That's not what it means, like at all, right? So delegation. And I think for doctors, especially, this is a little challenging because we're like, oh, I need to do it and nobody can do it like me and all of those things. And the sooner we can walk away from that line of thinking, the sooner we can have lives that we enjoy. And so the question then becomes, what are all the things that somebody else can do? And usually for women, I say this especially, you're the CEO of your home and the CEO of your business. So we're not talking just in your business. This is your business and your home. Like, what are the things that somebody else can do? Like, well, nobody can do it like me. Of course they can't. You're as unique as your fingerprint. But can they do a B level thing? If they can, that's awesome. Like we'll take that, right? So who can do it? So I would meet people who are running businesses and they do their laundry and they're cleaning and they're doing all the cooking and they're answering all the phones. I'm like, stop it. Like, stop it. Okay. We have a relatively high earning power and it is a gift to us so we can acquire the time of others. Okay. And the more things you can get off your plate, you can then step into higher level activities, which are fewer. They're higher risk, higher reward. They're fewer, but give you a bigger bang for your buck. So you end up doing so much more by accomplishing so much more by doing less. Delegation. That's the thing. And some may say, okay, I got it. No, no, no. It's not about I got it. Are you doing it? Because I would have doctors and they're scheduling their own appointments, but they have a front desk person. I'm like, why are you scheduling the appointment? Oh, because it would just take me 2 seconds. No, it won't. The opportunity cost of these 2 seconds all over the place is that you don't have a life. Like you need to get it off your plate. I have times I do this at least once a quarter where I'll sit. I was like, what are all the things I do every day? Not the things I think I do. What do I actually do? And then I start circling like, why are you doing this? You don't need to do this, right? Or you have these 17 things that really, if you hired one person, that one person could take 17 things off your plate, right? And so then I would hire the person and get all those things off my plate. And voila, I have all this time. So buy the time of others, acquire the time of others through the process of delegation. And delegation, you have kids, that includes your kids. I don't plan birthday parties. I don't do grocery shopping. I don't do any of those things. I got kids. Okay. If I gave birth to them, they can do their share. Okay. All right. So delegation is a huge is a huge part. The second part I will give you, and this takes time to learn, but you may not be able to do everything today, but you can switch your direction today. And that is, okay, so let me explain the context. The context is from the 80/20 rule, right? 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. And so the way I like to bring it all the way home is if you did 1 million in revenue and you did 10 things to do 1 million in revenue, two of those things created $800,000. Eight of those things created $200,000. So if you're going to be a person who is high impact with high time off, you will do those two things over and over and over again and forget the eight because the eight is a lot of things for little value, right? And so you pick those things, and those are usually the things we procrastinate on. Those are the things like, oh, I'm scared, I don't want to do it. Usually, those are the things, right? But if you pick those two things, like someone who just started a practice, literally, it's getting myself in front of new people, making offers like, "Come work with me in my practice," and serving the patients you do have in a way where they want to come back, they want to refer people, they want to write you reviews. Those are 3 things. What will we do instead? Play on Canva, right? Tweak our business plan for the 3,000th time. Make plans like when this is really busy and I need to hire office manager, you have 2 patients. Why are we talking about this? Do you see what I'm saying? So the second skill is the skill of spending 80% of your time doing those 20% activities. Once you can start doing that, then you become this person who gets massive results and you have massive time off. Like you can legit have both of them, right? So those are skills that need to be acquired. So we build it in with intention. We build those skills and then we just start it's a continuous process of getting things off your plate. I literally hired somebody yesterday and she has like 30 things she's getting off my plate, which expands my capacity to help at a higher level through her. And then I can go higher because I have all these things off and I can go find a higher 20%, right? So that's the secret.
That's the secret, that's it, and they say success leaves clues, and I think that's a common theme, recurring theme. Delegate, like, you don't have to do everything yourself, but make sure that you're doing the higher level things. There are certain things that you can't do, and yeah, I think we all have that thought that like, "Oh, well, someone else can't do it better, so I'm just gonna do it all myself," but you don't have to, and you shouldn't. Not that you don't have to, but you shouldn't do it because there are other things that you could be doing to make yourself more successful and set yourself up for, the rest of your life, so
It's too expensive not to delegate.
it is, and I think that's a hard thing to even to wrap my head around because a lot of the times I'm that person, I'm like, "Oh, yes, I should be doing laundry and I should be doing all these things because that's what I'm supposed to do, but if I could find someone else to do those things, then I wouldn't have to spend the time doing those things, and I could be using that time more effectively to grow my business." And
I think it's fair to say for many people, it's very challenging, right? Like, I'm Nigerian, okay? You do not cook and not clean and not this is not a thing, right? Like this is what you do, right? And I struggled with that, like, a lot. My husband would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm cooking, I'm doing all this stuff." He's like, "Do you want it or not?" Like, you can't take on all these other things you're taking on and keep all these things. Something has to give. So you can decide, "Okay, I just wanna cook and clean and do all that stuff," or you can say, "I wanna do all these other stuff, so I'm gonna leverage relationships, leverage team, leverage all of those things to get the help that I need." And so for me, I couldn't conceptualize delegation. I was like, no, everything I do is something only I can do. It's always a lie, right? But nobody else can do this stuff. So what I started doing was I'd practice getting two things off my plate because this is a skill, it's a muscle, right? I practice getting two things off my plate, and the person who's doing it, I'm trying so hard not to go get it back from them because they're not doing exactly the way I want them to do it, and all of that. And okay, and they did it. It wasn't exactly the way I liked it, but nobody died and things moved on. Great. Then I practiced with another three things and another four things. So at this point, I've done this for 15 years, right? That's a whole decade and a half. So at this point, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't go grocery shopping. I don't even go clothes shopping. When I have events, they bring my clothes to the event. I'm like, oh, that's nice. What? When do I wear this? Then okay, fine. Like I don't even do that, right? And then in my business, there's so many things that I don't do. When we have events, I could land in the city. I'm like, oh, where's the hotel? Like I don't know. I don't know where it is. And we have world class events. right? But I'm like, I don't know, right? But I didn't start from there. I started from not even understanding how I could delegate and then just practice. Is very uncomfortable. It's a 20% activity. It's very uncomfortable, but the more of it you do, the more time you get back, the better you get at it. And then you start going like, oh, these 5 things could go too. Those 3 things can go too, right? But if we don't start, we can't get better at it. Right? Like, so we embrace the discomfort of doing it with 2 things, 3 things, practice paying someone to do this, practice asking the kids to do that, practice saying yes when somebody offers, because this is another thing. People offer us a lot of stuff. We're like, "No, we don't wanna bother them," but you didn't offer, they offered, you know? And so it's just practicing it, and the more we do it, the more our delegation muscle grows, and it could get really big. Like, mine is big, but I'm working on getting it bigger, you know? Yeah.
I think that's huge because I don't think that we actually acknowledge just how big of a hurdle it is to let go. And I think I often have people come on here or like I'm talking with people in different, areas of my life and they talk about delegation and, they're doing the things, but no one has actually acknowledged just how big of a hurdle it is to let go. And just listening to you, I realized just how important it is and just how much of a change it could be just to make those like little minor changes to let go and let someone else do some of the work. And it's not being lazy. It's not, trying to create this like privilege. Like it is a privilege to be able to let go and to let someone else do it, but it's also going to make you better as a result of letting go. It's not like you're slacking off. And I think as doctors and even people outside of the health profession, we think if we're letting go of stuff, we're slacking off. At least that's what goes through my mind.
Yeah, and I understand that, right? Like, we're slacking or we think we're better than other people, like, "Why can't you do your own stuff?" and things like that, but the way I see it now is that it's my responsibility, right? Like, so, you listen to the podcast, so you hear me talk about my 90th birthday party a lot. And, that comes from people do the exercise, like, write your obituary. It's like, I cannot imagine myself dead because if I do that, I'll die. Like, I have a very vivid imagination. I was like, we're not going to hold that picture. That's not what we're going to do. So I flipped it and said, let's do 90th birthday instead, right? And when I think about it, I want to leave a legacy. And most people who went into medicine, like, we're a little, quote, unquote, "crazy," right? Like, because 'cause you're like, "Oh, this is what I wanna save lives." I want like, those are pretty big plans for a young person to have, and so those don't go away. I wanna leave a legacy. I wanna touch as many people as I can touch. I wanna build these memories with my family. I want to support my family in the best possible way, do all these things. Okay, I have the opportunity to pull that off. But the prize for it is I have to do it with the team because one is too small a number for greatness. And so I can be comfortable and do everything myself and think I'm not bothering anybody and sacrifice the legacy. Or I can honor the legacy and honor what it will cost to pull it off, which is I'm gonna need people to do this. So I embrace the discomfort of delegating. I embrace the discomfort of the negative chatter of, oh, like you think you're better than everyone. It's not about being better. It's about a responsibility. If I have the opportunity to have this kind of impact in the world, then I will pay the price to have the impact. I am not showing up at 90 and having regrets. That's not a thing that I'm willing to do. And when you think about the people you're delegating to, like the team that I hire, they get to be part of a big vision. They get to have a job that pays them well. They get to have a job where they have pay and impact. That is wild. And this is them in their zone of genius, which may not be like, I just hired an ops person. Ops is the definition of not my zone of genius. Okay. I'm a visionary. I can develop transformational content, build coaching systems, all of that stuff. But the nitty gritty, I'm just, oh, like somebody get me out of here. But that's her zone of genius. So she gets to thrive in her zone and get paid for it and be part of the people who rewrote the narrative for physicians. That's a win-win. So it's not bothering people. It's not taking advantage of people. It's not manipulating people. It's not feeling you're better. It is a responsibility. Like you can leave this legacy. You can have this impact. So will you say yes? Part of yes means you're going to work through people. You cannot pull this off on your own, right? And so that's the way I see it. It's like because I want to finish my life and go like, "Boom, I did it all. I'm ready to die," right? Like, that's the way I wanna go out. Then I have to say yes to stuff like to things like this because there's no other way.
this is the higher level thinking that is required to get you to wealth and time freedom and to being able to live the life that you want. So all those words. I hope you guys are absorbing all of that and making sure that you're not just absorbing it, but you're putting into action. So we're going into 2026 strong. We're going in knowing that we are working to create the life that we want to live right now, not tomorrow, not next year, but we're building that life right now. And so if you do nothing else, the next thing that you're going to do is find those two things that you can do and figure out all the things that you don't need to be doing yourself so someone else can do them. And then you can go on vacation. So I'd love to hear about how you put this into play because, like you said, you're homeschooling 4 kids, you're running this business, you're doing all these things, you're defying the odds and telling everyone that being a pediatrician does not mean that you can't grow a multi-million-dollar business and, have everything that you need. So I would love to hear how you do all that and still manage to find time for vacation and maybe hear about some of the cool trips that you've taken recently.
So again, it starts from the intent, right? And so, for instance, when I set my goals for a year, so let's say going into 2026, I don't set business goals. I set goals for all 9 areas of life. So the intent, like next year, this is where I want to be in my life. Business is just one of them. I'll just go through them quickly because I know someone's like, huh, what? Okay, so there is spiritual, okay. Then there's family, there's legacy, there's health, there's finances. Finances being your personal finances, what you want to invest, what you want to give, what like, stuff like that. Then there's business or career or academics, depending on, where the person is. There's intellectual developments, like, so what is the master skill that I need to develop that would change, that bring the biggest change in my life? And then there's fun. There's actually a spot for vacation, right? Like, so fun, it's a goal that is set, right? So I don't know if I got to all 9. I think I did, but those are those areas. So I don't set business goals. So it's impossible for me to live in a one-sided way as I pursue my goals because I have all of them. Now, the beautiful thing about setting those is I don't have to chase all 9 at the same time. There's gonna be times where I'm all in on one area, and there's gonna be times where I'm all in on another. So, for instance, I may say I want to go on 4 trips. I want to have 2 couples trips, and I want to have 2, family trips. So that's, me and my husband and the kids, right? Okay, so if I say that, I'm not gonna be traveling every single month. That's 4 trips, right? So when I go to my calendar, I block off those 4 times. So it doesn't matter how busy the business, like, so for instance, I'm not gonna put a major event around when we're taking a trip. If we have a time, like, we pastor church, we have a national conference. We're not gonna put a vacation around there because we know it's not gonna happen. And this is what it does for the rest of the family. For my kids, when we're all in on business or all in on church or whatever, they're chill because they know their time is coming. This is not a problem. They're like, "Oh, daddy's busy, whatever." But they know there's gonna be this block of time where it's just them, right? So I put those blocks in, like these are the times when we're gonna work on vacation. These are the times that are gonna be heavier for the business. These are the times that are gonna be lighter, right? And it will be opposite of when the months where I'll be on vacation. And so because of the intent and because I'm looking at my whole life, not my business, everything has a home, right? Like what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. Everything has a home. And so we lead our lives in that way. So if this is time to go all in on the business, fun is on the back burner, right? Like we're coming, but we go all in, we play hard, we do all of that. When it's time to play, I'm like, business people, I'll see you in a sec. And I'm off.
You must have one heck of a planner to be able to organize all that so that way the husband can see what's going on, the kids and your assistant and everyone else. What are you using?
No, no, no. I wish. I told you ops is not my thing, right? Like ops is not my thing. But if you think about it, like, so for me, there is this statement that simplicity scales and complexity constraints. I think simple. Sometimes I'm like, how did you even become a physician? I'm like allergic to complexity. I'm like, how can we make this simple? Okay. So if you think about it, if we say 4 trips and and this is not the way it plays, I'm just giving an example, and we say, "Okay, we're gonna do one of these trips a quarter," right? We just block off that time on the quarter. Like, literally, this could be a yellow highlighter on a year on a year in a view calendar, right? That's 1 page, just like and it's blocked. And so if you already have that blocked, if you are the only one working in your business, you can say, I'm not going to be here then. You can get coverage for that week. Nothing bad is going to happen, right? You get coverage for the week. Some people just shut it down for the week. My preference is we hire for flexibility, right? So even if that means you hire somebody who works 2 days a week, 3 days a week, then when it's those weeks, you're like, this week you're working 5 days a week. But if you plan it, you can tell them 6 months in advance, 8 months in advance, right? And so that way you can go and the business is still running and your people are still creating revenue for you and you still have a life. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so for me, scheduling has made the big difference. For instance, I don't want to build a business and lead a church and do all of these things. And then after a few years, I can't find my marriage. I have no interest in doing that. So what did we do to that? Some people say, oh, let's be spontaneous. We have date night every Tuesday, right? And it's scheduled. And it's so funny, like, people don't call us on Tuesday. They're like, "Oh, we know it's date night," and they leave us alone. Like, leave us alone. And so we do our thing, and because of that, every week we're doing major work on our marriage, even though we're not working on the marriage all like, every second of the entire week, because that's not reasonable. I am so driven. I'm such a focused, driven person that I was like, even with my kids, I don't wanna build a business and have kids like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm your mom," remember? So, part of my morning routine, one of the things I have on there is what I call Me Tweak. It's an acronym, MTWK, Meaningful Time with Kids, right? And I have meaningful time spent with them every single day. So if I do that, even if it was a busy day and it was less meaningful time, we still moved forward. The family's still growing. Or you see what I'm saying? Like, so we put that in there. So the starting point is really the intent. Like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna make progress in all 9 areas of my life, right? And then it's defining what is progress, right? So you know what you need to do, and then scheduling it and getting those things done. So I have a lot going on, but all areas are moving forward, including fun, including my relationship with my kids, my relationship with my husband, my health. I get time to exercise every day and all of this stuff. I have time for personal development because, intellectual development because it is a goal, right? Like, so for instance, this year I was like, I speak a lot. I think the thing that will make the biggest difference is if I up my game with speaking, if I'm a more persuasive, not manipulative, but persuasive, able to get my ideas across, if I could be a more persuasive speaker. And that was my master skill for this year. So because it's one of the 9, it just happens, right? Because it gets scheduled. These are the books we read, these are the podcasts we look at, da, 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 let's go. So that's the way I look at it. So it's a holistic view. So even the doctors in the EntreMD Business School, we have a vision retreat we do every year by the ocean and somewhere by the ocean, right? In October, because that's when I start my year. I don't start in January. We can talk about that if you want. And when we do that, I love that retreat because now we're talking all 9 areas. We're not talking just business, right? Like, if the business is working and life is not working, you're still gonna be miserable. Right? So we do need to have the dream life and the dream business. So that's the starting point. But everybody has to understand you can have it all. But to have it all, you have to play by different rules. But you can.
And I love that you point out that you don't have to do all those things at once because it is very easy to like see you created these goals and you're like, okay, these are the 9 different aspects of my life that I want to work on and go. Like you don't have to do it all. And scheduling is so important because if it doesn't happen, it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen, right? And I've learned that so much this past year. Like, yeah, put it on the calendar and it's just make it happen. So when I'm talking to people about planning trips, I'm always telling them, you know what, you have to schedule it. And they're like, well, I'll do it later. And I have to work and the kids have this and they have that. Okay, well, put down those things that are must do's and then in the time that's not taken up, schedule your vacation, like plan your trip. Otherwise you'll be like Dr. Una just mentioned who had been 10 years without taking a vacation. And rest is a very, very big important part of wealth building and just like living your best life, right? Because what's the point of working?
What's the point of working? And I think, when we don't think about the future or think about the end, it's easier to make decisions like, oh, I don't have time or I'll do it later. Because that's a huge assumption. What is later? Right? Like, I'm 46 years old. I never imagined I'll be 46 years old, not because I thought I would die, but because that's old. You know you know what I'm saying? Like, that's old. And my first daughter, she's 17. I just had her yesterday. Like, I was just changing diapers yesterday. Like, and so one of the things that happens to people as they get older is a lot of regret. So I love talking to older people because they have a perspective that we just don't have. If you think about it, every day we wanted to wake up, we woke up. So we think we have an endless number of days. Like, yeah, if I don't do it today, I can do it tomorrow. What do you mean? Like, we have one less tomorrow every morning we wake up. And that's not to see it from a scarcity place. It's just for us to see the value of 24 hours, the value of 2 weeks, the value of a month. And so, and I learned a lot of this from my husband, where it's like, this month is going to come and it's going to go. The question is going to be, what did you do with it? Right? Are you just going to let it, by default, whatever happens? Or are you going to capture it and get all you can get out of it, right? So for someone to say, "Oh, I'll do the vacation later, or I'll learn the skill later, I'll do this later." I want to challenge people. Like, this was when I got this wisdom, if you will. I traveled, I attended my 90th birthday party in my mind. Okay. And I was like, what will I want my kids to say about me? What would I want my husband to say about me? The people who I mentored, what do I want them to say about me? What would I want the physician community to say about me? Like the books I wrote, what about like all of this stuff? And of course, it's easy to imagine that, like to an extent. I'm imagining all these things. And then I stopped and I was like, you are doing nothing that will make people say that then. Like, you're not living in a way consistent with where you want your life to be. And so if you want that, no time like the present. Start doing today what would make them say that tomorrow. So if you want at the end of your day, at the end of your life to talk about these rich relationships you built with your spouse, your kids, your loved ones, and all of this, relationships take time. And for instance, if you have kids at home, I promise you, they're not always going to be at home. You know, I have 3 siblings. And when we grew up, we were all together. In fact, it was so funny. Like, we all had our rooms, but we'll go sleep in the living room, so we'll all be together talking into late into the night and doing all those kind of things. Like, we were really close. Then we started going off to college one after the other. And do you know we had a 20-year period where there was never a time when 4 of us were together? 20 years. And so all those times we're like, "Oh, I'll talk to him later. Oh, we'll go hang out later. We'll have that conversation later." 20 years. 20 years. And so when you think about it, it's like, if you have your people now, do whatever it is you think you're gonna do. You see what I'm saying? If there's a skill, you're like, "This skill will make a difference," then learn it already. If you're like, "Oh, this thing to work on my health," do it already. Because every day that comes, we have one less tomorrow. Every birthday we celebrate, we have one less year. And not like, if obviously when you hear my tone, I'm not saying it from a place of scarcity. It's a place of respecting today, because today is the seed of tomorrow. So if you're going to do that vacation, get it on the books, get it done.
Yeah. I think those sentiments echo the sentiments of the book Die with Zero in many ways. Like, do it now because you don't know what tomorrow is gonna hold. You don't know if you're gonna have tomorrow. So the fact that, you were able to go 20 years without all of you guys being in the same place, I'm glad that 20 years came and you were able to find, time to actually be together. But a lot can happen in 20 years. A lot can happen in 20 days. So you don't know. And this is the anniversary of my father's passing, actually in 2 days from now. And he was the catalyst for me starting prescription to travel and really just encouraging people to get out there and take their time off and do the things that they wanna do, because you may not get to retirement. He actually passed away a few months before he was set to retire. And, so he didn't get that moment. And he lived a really good life, so I don't wanna make it seem like he worked really hard, but he did live a good life. But there were all the things that he was going to wait for. He was gonna do these things more. He was gonna do more of these things when he retired, and he didn't get that moment. And I just really want to encourage other people, while we're in our youth, we're midlife now. They say, I think life expectancy is like 78. So, around there. So if your life expectancy is 80 and you're 40, like, you're midlife now. So live it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are living proof that you can do it, and you can do it with balancing a household and you've got your children and you're doing all these things, and you mentioned earlier a trip to Dubai?
Yeah. Oh, that was so fun. It was so fun. So, my husband and I, we are type A people and we have a lot of responsibility and we do a lot of stuff. And so, one of the things that we've always been very committed to is having, at least 2 vacations a year where we spend time with the kids, where they kind of have this feeling like it's just us. You know what I mean? Like, because they get to share us with a lot of people. If you think like between the businesses and the church and all these other things that we do. And so last year we got to go to Nigeria, which is a lot of fun. I think my younger 2 had never been. So it was a blast, ate all the local food, went all to all the local places. Bedtime, what is that? Like it was a lot of fun. And then, my husband, to speak to what you were talking about, then said, "Oh, we should go to Europe in September." Went to Nigeria in June. I was like, "Another international trip? Like what?" Because he has more of a concept of balance than I do. And he's like, "Yeah, because guess what? September is gonna come and September is gonna go. So the question is, what will we have put into September?" And so we went to Europe, which was, we did what did we do? We landed in Paris. And so we did Paris, Rome, Venice, which I loved I was like, "Water? Like, you can only travel by water?" Yes. Thank you. Water taxi. My God, I love being by the water. So we did Venice and then Milan and then back to Paris and then home. It was a beautiful trip. And so this year, the kids wanted to go to Dubai. We had gone on a couple's trip to Dubai maybe 13 years ago or so. I just remember it being 15 hours. I was like, "Man, that's a lot of hours to be on a plane." Like, you know? And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." He was like, "Let's go again." I was like, "Yeah, no, it's not that serious. I remember what it looked like. I don't need to go." But the kids really wanted to go. And so we went to Dubai. And we did all the things in Dubai, right? We did the dancing fountain, we did the driving in the desert, we did the Museum of the Future and all of that. And, for us as a family, it was a beautiful bonding experience, and we were just away from all the things we typically do, and it was just the kids. But interestingly enough, it did like magic for my business mind, right? Because Dubai is interesting. I was reading the book by the Sheikh. It's called The Sheikh CEO, The Ruler of Dubai. And he says, "I don't get involved with politics." I'm like, "Okay, hang on. You're the ruler of Dubai. What do you mean that you don't get involved in politics? This makes no sense." Right? He says, "My job is to create a conducive environment for people to come and for them to trade so we can have a stable economy." And so that country not country, that region is run like a business. I was like, "Oh, everything makes sense now," right? Like, everything makes sense. And it was just interesting to see the level of innovation, the level of monetization, and I don't mean in a bad way, it's a win-win situation for everybody. And, it was I mean, how many Guinness Book of Records, biggest this, tallest that, most slanted this, heaviest ring, like, it was one thing after the other. It's just really, really, really beautiful to see. So, it was a lot of fun, but my mind is kind of interesting. When I go there, I'll find the business principles, like
Yeah, I was gonna say that's funny that that was, like, your guiding light to, like, "Okay, I really don't wanna go back to Dubai, but, after reading this book, okay, I can approach it like this." Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I read the book there. I read the book there when we went to Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world, and, you know how like, every attraction when you're on your way out, they kinda channel you through the gift store, and then I saw the book, I was like, "Huh," and I looked for it on Amazon, I didn't see it, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm getting this." I was like, "I need to see what is going on in his mind because this is pretty ridiculous what they've built here." And fun fact, when the person brought the plans for the Burj Khalifa, I think it was 90 floors. So he's like, "Oh, we wanna build this building, it's gonna be 90 floors, it's gonna be the tallest building in Dubai." And the sheikh says to him, "There's the Taj 101, and it's called 101 because it has 101 floors. Why would you want to build something that is the tallest in Dubai, but not the tallest in the world?" He says, "Go back, come up with a plan that will put us at the tallest building in the world, and let's talk." And then he came back with 64 floors. That's how that became the tallest building in the world, just so you see the way they think. So it was a lot of fun for me, but, from the business standpoint, but yeah, from a fun standpoint, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. And you went do you guys travel on points at all? I know you have to have a lot of points sitting somewhere.
So, in the spirit of delegation, my husband and I, we are like two parts of a whole. And so we respect each other's zones of strength and don't cross over. So, when it comes to organizing travel, I show up. This is my job. Right? Like, where are we going here? Where is our boarding pass here? Okay, let's go. Like literally, that's what I do. So he used points, but I couldn't tell you anything about it because I don't know how the things happen. All I know is we were on Qatar Airlines and it was great. That's all I can.
You're the passenger princess.
Yes, yes, I am. Yes, yeah, I have the babies. He plans to travel. How about that?
I love it, I love it. He's like, "September, we're going, planning a trip, I'll make it happen, and you just have to show up." Very cool.
Yeah. So he does that. I don't.
What airline did you guys fly?
We did Qatar Airlines, yeah, so we did Qatar to Doha, Doha to Dubai, yeah.
Okay, and how was that flight experience for you guys?
It was really great. We did the Q suites, I think that's what they're called and all that, so it was a long flight.
You heard she's just like, "We just did the Q suites," like
Well, yeah, well, that's what we did, but it was great.
that was gonna be my next question if you had a chance to fly Q suites, so do you know how many people wanna fly Q suites?
I don't know, tell me.
Q Suites is very popular, so and a lot of people are always vying for those flights, so it's when you're just so nonchalantly like, "Yeah, we know we flew Q Suites," like, no big deal.
Well, I guess I should go say thank you harder to my husband, right? Like,
You should.
yeah, I know, I know. How come I spoke to Doctor Downes and she enlightened me.
Yes, I know, like, I feel like I need to have your husband on here so we can talk about this, like, how he was able to arrange this. It was the 6 of you?
So, this is what we do with travel. With our kids fly economy. We fly business. That's the way it is, and once they start making their own money and they can buy their own tickets, they can fly all the business in the world.
I think that's very admirable. I have clients so I help people book flights, and a lot of times I have families of 4 who want to travel together, and so I have one particular family we're trying to get flights booked for, and I'm like, "Well, I found 2 business flights, but I only have 2, and there are 4 of you, so, do you wanna put the kids" They're like, "No, we don't wanna put the kids in economy," and after, like, coming back to them, like, 3 different times, they were finally like, "Yeah, well, if you can find 2 business, we'll put the kids in economy." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, you stretch your points, and then your kids have something to look forward to, like, this if you work hard, this is what you have access to. And they're small. They don't need, like, extra leg room and lie flat seats and all that stuff. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, people can, choose how they want to do it, but for our family, one of the things we're conscious of, and people have different philosophies around this. This is just ours. I don't recommend it. Maybe, it's a buffet. You can look at a number of options and pick what's right for you. But I believe that pressure is good because there's no orange juice without pressure. So there is a statement that hard times create strong men create great times. Great times create weak men create hard times, right? And so for us and our kids, we're always looking for ways to let them have an elevated experience, but not remove the pressure, not remove the thing that will make them say, "Man, I'm going to drive to make this better." Because when we do, then we put them in a position where they can inherit wealth, but they cannot inherit what created it. Then that means they only last a generation, two, maybe, right? And so we wanna give them primarily what creates wealth, what creates the dream life, the habits, the skill set, the grit, the resilience, all of those things. And then whatever inheritance is like icing on the cake, but we gave them the thing. And so we like I mean, they had a world-class experience in Dubai, but you gonna fly economy to get there. Like, we're not gonna take away everything. You see what I'm saying? Because you need some of that to say, "I'm gonna make this better. I'm gonna aspire to this," or something. So, yeah. So we're always looking for opportunities. Like, literally, when they were younger, I was like, "I need to find where to put these people in something where they can fail." Right? Like, can I put them in competitive swim so they can go and get beat by other kids or whatever, like beat at at swimming and stuff like that. And I was looking for that because I was like, if you don't have the experience of failure, not like you're a failure, but a failed project, then you don't know how to respond. when life does what life will always life. We have never had a year when life didn't life. Like, life will life. How do you respond to it? And so I don't give you enough opportunities to fail. You don't know how to respond. Then you become the person who falls apart because one little thing didn't go your way. No ma'am, no sir. Right? So we're always looking for ways to kind of keep the pressure on, because when the pressure is off, it's not good for us. You don't build muscle without weights. You just don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they still had an amazing experience, and even if you decide you wanna fly to Dubai and you want to not fly Q Suites or lie flat seats and have that experience, like, you're still going, you still get to experience the joy of being in a new place and learning all these new things, so the fact that your kids were able to go, that's a privilege in itself, right? I love that what you're doing with them and how you're strengthening them, and we know that studies have shown that if you create generational wealth, if you don't teach your kids what to do with it, it won't last. And I think that's something that we're trying to, we're trying to find a way to push that on our own kids, without, you don't want to coddle them, but at the same time, you don't want them to have to go through extreme measures where they're not experiencing life. So I think that's a great balance. Your kids don't have to fly first class or business class. You can put them in the economy. It's okay. And your kids, they work within your business as well.
They do, they do. And the rationale behind that is, I remember thinking, "Man, I got one of the best educations in the world." I'm a physician, but I came out and there are so many things I have no clue about, right? Like how to manage money or how to grow a business or how to market, how to sell, how to speak, and I was like, I think I took one for the team. Like, they might as well learn it when they're young, because at the end of whatever education they have, they're gonna have to figure these things out. And so I started, and I can't teach them, what I don't know. So I started like, I'm gonna bring you into the business. I'm gonna bring you into my world, and then you're going to learn on the job. And so even when my daughter she was probably 11 or whatever, when I do my calls in EntreMD Business School, she'd upload them to Kajabi and all those things. Like, I'd have her like, "Here, this is how you do it," and all that stuff. And when I'm done, I'm like, "Go upload that." You know, when I would speak at events or so, I would have her do my opening because, so she's like, "My name is Chad. I'm 9 years old, and da 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 da. You're here to hear my mom, blah 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 blah." Because I was terrified of being on stage, and I'm like, "I've taken one for the team. There's no need for anybody in this family to be afraid of being on stage." So I put them on stages, like, as many times as I can, and stuff like that.
So my next question is, when are you opening up Dr. Una's homeschool for the rest of our kids?
I don't know. That has come up a lot, and I don't know. I think something might happen, but we'll see.
I think I just think about how, like, my kids do go to private school, so, you're paying for private school education, and they're getting all these things, but, like, I wish I could homeschool my kids, and I wish I could teach them all life lessons that, they're learning by, reading a book. So I think that'd be a great idea. I think that's your next business move. You can create this school, and then, you can create because where are you located right now? Atlanta, okay, so, yeah, so, of course, obviously, everything starts in Atlanta, so you start one there. And then you can expand it because I think we need one here in Las Vegas, and then, we can just keep growing from there, and then everyone's kids will get life lessons and be book smart and world smart and be able to run businesses that are going to create generational wealth. There you go.
But I will say this though, because, someone may be feeling, "Well, I can't homeschool my kids and I can't do this." It sounds a lot fancier than it actually is. The starting point is, I know some things. I'll teach my kids what I know. There are many things I don't know, and I'm not teaching them those things. But there's some things that I know, right? And so, for instance, depending on the age of your kids, my kids, once they hit 10, I start making them read all kinds of stuff. But I make them read a book a week, and personal development books like Eat That Frog, Learn How to Manage Your Time, Learn How to Overcome Procrastination, Who Moved My Cheese. These are smaller books. John Gordon has a lot of books like The Energy Bus, The No Complaining Rule, and stuff like that. Kids and their story format. And they start reading these things, and they start developing this habit, like, I read books to learn skills for life. That is that is a huge education, because most people after college never read anything. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I would put that in front of them. If I'm listening to a podcast, sometimes I'll say, "Oh, this is fun. Come listen. What do you think?" Right? So it's not, we start from somewhere. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we can start from somewhere. Sometimes when I'm brainstorming, I'll pull them in. I'm like, "I'm thinking about this. What would you do?" It doesn't matter whether they have the right answer. I mean, it's brainstorming, there's no right answer, but it doesn't matter. It's just letting them know you can come up with answers, you can solve things, you can look at things that are issues as child like math problems and put it on the board and solve it, you know? And that's kind of where we started from. And, like now, today, actually, they have this recording. My daughter just launched her podcast, which is the Profitable Private Practice podcast. She interviews doctors in the EntreMD Business School who are private practice owners who are crushing it to say, okay, many people are saying private practice is dead. You seem to be thriving. Tell us why. Right. And it's so fun. So she's part of the family business, but we've been doing this. And why is that? Because I do podcasts. I can do a podcast.
And this is your 17-year-old?
This is my 17-year-old. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Kudos for her. I might be able to learn a thing or 2 from her in a in a couple months.
I guess the thing is, like, we all start from where we are, right? Like, of course, it's a podcast for her because I'm good at that stuff. I can show her what to do. We all have stuff we can show our kids. We're the people for the job, you know? Yeah.
I just think about all the homeschooling COVID parents and who are probably listening to this right now going like, "I remember what it was like trying to have my kids home and learning all these things on the computer and not learning all the things on the computer because it was just, such a time." And I think it was a time when a lot of parents, like, were dipping into, like, the homeschool. We homeschooled our kids for a brief period of time, but we homeschooled with teachers, so they went to school 4 days a week. We had a teacher who, didn't have a job because the schools weren't hiring, and she'd homeschooled her kids before, and so she was here taking our kids, and, we'd had this little pod, and I often wondered, like, what it would be like to continue with that, and then the freedom again, I'm always on the move, and so my thought process is always, like, how can I get to my next destination? How can I go on vacation without disrupting my kids' school schedule? And so I thought about, road schooling and homeschooling. So hearing all these things is kind of, like, tipping me in that direction again. I'm not exactly sure what we're doing for school next year. My kids.
When I say I homeschool my kids, what I mean is I give them my own education. They go to school online. And when I had the older 2, they were independent learners, so they did their thing. When I brought the younger 2 home, I got a tutor who oversees their academic stuff, right? I don't do any of the academic stuff. So they do all of that stuff. My job is to make sure they're reading a book a week. They go through their Bible every year, so they're doing that plan. They are involved in the business. They are involved in, speaking. Sometimes I'll do a speaking boot camp for them. I even have like you've done a lot of work on your mind, how to think and all that. So I have like a self-coaching thing I do for them and their cousins. So those are the things I do. I don't do any of the academic stuff, right? That's fully delegated. All I want is A's. Just show me the A's. Doctor, there's the A. I'm like, that's nice. That's nice. Very good. Very good. I'm responsible for their alternative education. Right? So even in that, there's a whole lot of delegation. And then, like you said, the advantage of that, like when we went to Dubai in October. Who goes to Dubai in October? You're supposed to be in school or not, So yeah, yeah, that's what we've done.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think before that becomes proprietary information, I should, latch onto that and figure out exactly how I'm gonna work this out next year. Very cool. Alright. Well, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. I'm hoping so many people gained so much from just being with you, whether you're a physician or in healthcare or not in healthcare, a small business owner, wherever you are at in life, there's so much to take away from Dr. Una's words today. Make sure that I want you to hear the message, but I want you to make sure that you're applying the message to your life because words without action aren't going to get you anywhere. Okay. So thank you so much for being here. Are there any last words that you want to share with the audience before you go?
Yeah, it will be in line with what you said, which is really some of the things may feel like a lot. I promise you when I started, I was not anywhere near here. I've been doing this for 15 years. And so whatever you heard, if there must be a version you can take action on. You may not be able to do everything, but there's something you can do. I want to challenge you to do that. And when you do that, what will happen is you'll find out, huh, interesting. Well, look what happened. And then you'll see more things, and then you'll see more things, and then that will be you on your journey. So I've been on this journey for 15 years. I'm going to be on this journey till the day I leave this planet. So don't let anything go make you think, oh, I can't do that, or I can't have that, or that's too much. I will advise you to be like the person who was sitting in a dark place and saw bright lights. So when it happens, you close your eyes, but my goodness, you open it back up, right? Like so don't dismiss it. If you need to close your eyes for a second, do that. Open it back up and go like, huh, interesting. Just take something, take action on it, and start creating changes in your life that will snowball into something that will blow your mind. Yeah.
And I know you've had such a profound impact on so many other people. If there are other people who are interested in your services, do you want to tell them a little bit about what you offer and how they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, so we have a number of offerings really designed to help doctors make that transition, whether they own businesses already or not, from physician to physician CEO, running profitable six, seven, multiple seven-figure practices or businesses in general. We don't do just private practice. And really, that's what we do. And so if it's something that has been on your heart, you may have believed the lie that it's not possible. You may be in a business that's doing as much as 3 million in revenue, but it's driving you so crazy you want to throw it away. Nothing's wrong with your business. We just need to evolve. There's a transition that we need to make. And we're not talking about building businesses that will cost you your life. Clearly, I have no interest in that. We're talking about building businesses that make you have an impact that equates to a legacy while creating financial freedom and time freedom for you. So, I like to say that we have the free MBA, which is the EntreMD podcast. We call that the free MBA for doctors. And we have the $15 MBA, which would be our books. We have a number of books that we've written for physicians. If this is a new concept to you, the EntreMD method will be the place to start. But if you're like, I want to be in a community of people that are like Dr. Una doing wild things in the business world and stuff, then, you can book a call with my team on trainmd.com/call. We can talk about, how we can support you and put you in our communities to just go do wild things and become unrecognizable.
And within the community, I know, again, there are a lot of physicians, but are there, I guess, could you share with us some of the examples of things that people are doing like outside of medicine or a little outside of the box?
So when we talk about entrepreneurship in the EntreMD world, it's not so much you're building a brick and mortar like private practice or anything like that, as it is you're building a business system around whatever it is you want to do. So we have people who are what we call entrepreneurs. They work a job. They love their job. They don't want to quit their job. We don't want them to quit their job because, again, we want you to build a life that you love. But you still need to learn the business skills. So in the job, you can have a big impact and you know how to negotiate like a boss for what you want. We have a doc in the business school who negotiated for a raise and for 12 weeks off. And she got it. And so she travels the world and does her thing. I don't know, she's probably been to like, 12 or 13 countries this year. She does her thing, right? That's an entrepreneur. Some other entrepreneurs build their personal brand. They build, say, a YouTube channel. They get sponsorships that way. Like, so people who work jobs, like they do stuff like that. There are other people who decide, well, I want to, there's this problem in the world I want to solve. I want to be a coach. That's what they do. So they're not, again, not traditional private practice or anything, but they're coaches. And so they use the same principles so they can attract the number of people they want to serve, generate the revenue they want to serve, create time freedom, and all of those things. So we have all kinds of coaches, whether they're coaches to physicians doing burnout or coaches for people who are on their fertility journey, or they're coaches for academic physicians or, life coaches, general life coaches, financial coaches, all of that kind of stuff. Then we have the traditional, private practice, whether it's insurance based or cash based, like a DPC or concierge practice. And then we've had people who are product based businesses, people who are artists, people who did skincare lines and all of that. So we're not so big on this is how you start this kind of practice. This is a checklist, go away. We're big on you finding exactly what you want to do. And then we show you how to build a business system around it. How do I build the visibility for it? How do I close enough clients or patients for it? How do I build a profitable team so I can do all that delegation in a profitable way? And how do I do all of this in a way that I don't have to give up my life? Where the bigger I get, the more time off I have, the better I get, like, and stuff for my family. So that at the end of the day, you have a dream business, meaning what you want to do and helping a lot of people and profitable. And you have your dream life, which means this business is one out of 9 areas, but these are the 8 areas that work in. And so when I see a doc say, oh my goodness, I love the business school, the EntreMD business school, and what it's done for my business, but the greatest thing it's done for me is what it's done for my marriage. That's like heaven. And that doesn't mean we're having like a marriage conference. You see, when you change, everything changes, right? When you understand you can have them all, you don't despise those areas, you make them work. And so they're like, my marriage is better, my relationship, my kids is better. I've worked out every day this year. And like stuff like that is just like, ah, yeah, we can have it all. We can.
We can have it all. And where can they reach you to find out more about having it all?
EntreMD.com. So ENTREMD. So like entrepreneurialmd.com. And if you want to book a call with my team, that will be EntreMD.com/call. We do not do high pressure sales. We do not, try to manipulate you into doing anything. The team will literally work with you to say, okay, these are your goals. This is how we can support you. If it's not a good fit, we'll tell you it's not a good fit and we'll tell you what is a fit. So don't be afraid to book a call. We're not those kind of people.
Well, I'll make sure I post all that in the show notes so that people can find you. Thank you so much again for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for all that you do. This is amazing.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.